state head ball also, wasn't she?
Oh yeah, she was at the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her father was a dentist here.
Okay, this is November 20th, 1984, and I'm Joe Todd. This is an interview with Mrs. Ora Nelson in Guthrie, Oklahoma. Mrs. Nelson, where were you born?
Guthrie, Oklahoma. July 19th, 1897.
Who was your father?
Charles H. Scrutchfield.
Scrutchfield?
Scrutchfield.
Okay. And your mother?
Luther Jane Scrutchfield.
What was her maiden name?
Surgeon.
Surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
Where were your parents from? Where'd they come from?
Mother was from Kansas, Great Bend.
Mm-hmm.
My father was from Macon, Missouri.
How come your folks came to Oklahoma?
They heard about the new country being opened up.
Mm-hmm. And did your father make the run?
He came in on the first train
Where from?
from Macon, Missouri.
Did it come to Kansas first or just from Missouri?
From Missouri.
Okay. And where did he get off the train? Did he get off the train in Guthrie?
Yes. Yes.
Did he stake a town lot?
Did you find?
Did he stake a town lot in Guthrie?
He stayed at a town lot and a farm east of Guthrie.
We had a town lot and a farm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How far east was the farm?
About 8 miles, I think.
Mm-hmm. Is that where you were born?
No, I was born at 203 East Vilas, where
What?
the stadium is now.
Mm-hmm. What kind of house did your parents live in when you were born?
I think it was a 4-room frame house.
Mm-hmm. Did you know your grandparents?
Yes, I knew my mother's father and my father's mother.
Mm-hmm.
They were living.
Were either of your grandfathers in the Civil War?
Yes, mother's father was in the Civil War.
What was his name?
Joseph Sturgeon.
Did he ever talk about what he did in the war?
No,
Which side was he on?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Can you describe what the main street of Guthrie looked like in the early days?
Just unpaved. That's all I can remember about.
What were the streets like when it rained?
Very muddy.
How'd you cross them?
What?
How did you cross them without getting muddy?
Well, I can just remember walking through the mud.
Did the wagons get stuck in the mud very often in downtown Guthrie?
I don't think so. Never saw one.
Mm-hmm. When did they first pave the streets in Guthrie?
Less than that. I don't remember when.
Was it after statehood?
No, I think it's before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not positive.
When did you start school?
went to Central School in Guthrie on East Noble.
Is it still standing?
Yes. No. No. They have a new school. Replaced it.
Yeah. What year did you start?
Well, I was 6 years old. That's all I remember.
About 1903.
Imagine so.
What was your first teacher's name?
I can give you the principal's name. Her
Okay.
name was Carson.
Carson.
Can't remember her first name though.
What church did you attend?
First Christian Church.
Who was the pastor? Did you ever remember seeing Bishop Brooke or Bishop Mearshart here in Guthrie?
I saw him once.
Who, Brooke or Mearshart? Mearshart? Bishop Mearshart? Or
Yes.
yeah. What did he look like? What do you remember about Statehood Day?
One thing I remember is being at the ceremony.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about the inauguration. Where were you standing and what did you see? And
Well, I know to me it was a very large crowd. And many horses and buggies. I can remember the dress, the wedding dress, and the Indian costume, and the man in early day costume.
that was the wedding?
That was the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
At the Carnegie Library. That's all I know.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about the inaugural ball.
I didn't attend the inaugural ball.
You didn't? Where were you standing whenever they had the inauguration?
In the middle of Oklahoma, about the middle of the street.
There's a pretty good crowd there then?
Big crowd.
What time of day was it when he was inaugurated?
Well, so far as I know, a clear day. We had no rain or anything.
Mm-hmm. Who were some of the early day merchants in Guthrie? The shop owners?
Well, there's Tom Jenkins has a clothing store here. And there was a Ramsey dry goods store that I can remember. And the Trey Bands had a cigarette shop on the corner of what is now Broad in Oklahoma with the Indian man out in front. And I can't remember him.
Who ran the Island Hotel? Do you remember?
No, I don't. I ought to, but I don't.
Can you remember what the inside of the lobby looked like of the Ion?
Well, I can remember the large pillars, posts in the lobby. And the tile floor. I don't remember anything.
Who was that hotel named for? Ion.
For Ion Coil.
Who was she?
I can't remember what Mr. Coyle did. I can't remember it.
On the corner of Oklahoma and Division, there is the Gray Brothers building.
Yes.
Who were the Gray Brothers?
I don't remember them. I remember them, but I don't remember what they did.
Okay. Did they come in with the land opening?
I imagine they did, but I'm not sure of that.
Yeah. What do you remember about the Gray Brothers?
I really don't remember them.
Remember Mr. Lilly?
What?
Mr. Lilly?
Yes. Had a drugstore
Yeah.
in West Oklahoma.
Tell me about him.
Well, I just know it was the first drugstore, and I had met him and know his son. And that drugstore is still standing.
Were there many boys from Guthrie went to the Spanish-American War?
I don't know.
What about World War One?
I'm sure there were, but I don't remember.
And tell me about Armistice Day, when the war ended.
Well, I could just remember the celebration and the parade that they had.
What did you do that day?
Stood on the viaduct and watched the parade go by.
How big was it?
That was 1911. I don't know.
Well, I was going to ask you, at Statehood Day, they closed all the saloons.
Yes.
What did they do with all the beer and whiskey?
I don't know. I can remember the Ritterbushes had a saloon on the corner of Division and Harrison. That was right across the street from my father's furniture store.
How many saloons were there here in town?
I don't know, several, but that was the only one I remember. There was one on Oklahoma, and I don't know whether that was Ritterbushes moved there or not, but we did have the two that I know of, but there were others.
Ever see Tom Mix here in town?
I've seen him in the parade, in the 89ers parade here.
No, he used to be a bartender here.
Yes.
Years ago.
Yes.
What was your first reaction when they moved the capital from Guthrie to Oklahoma City?
Very bitter. Still am.
How come they moved the capital?
They stole it. I don't know. I don't know. They were doing very well here. But Oklahoma City came. and
Who
took
was
it.
who was behind that? Any idea? Did you know Governor Haskell?
No, only to recognize him when I saw him.
What about his daughter?
I saw her, but never did meet her.
What did you do for recreation in Guthrie in the early days?
Well, my recreation was playing the piano. I didn't do much else besides that for years.
You still play?
Some.
I was also going to ask you, do you remember any home remedies your mother would use? Home medicines? Like if you cut yourself, what kind of medicines would you use?
Castor oil for one. Senna leaves for this. That's the only two I remember really.
What are senna
We
leaves?
didn't take much.
What are senna leaves? What are they?
Tea.
Tea.
Senna tea. Boil it. If one did dislike for it, tea.
Where'd you meet your husband?
In Oklahoma City. And I was living there, teaching kindergarten there.
When did you start teaching?
I started in 19. I was 16 years old. You can figure that out.
About 1913. Was that your first job at Oklahoma City? How come you wanted to be a teacher?
Well, when I graduated from high school, I was too young to teach. And I had 2 years before getting a job of any kind, so I decided to take kindergarten work and teach. I taught for 30 years.
What were you doing, how did the Depression affect you and your family, 1930s?
Well, it was pretty hard. My father had the furniture store, and of course, business was not too good then. And he was in the, not cattle business, but sold horses. In the real early days, He had a wood yard.
Mhm. Were there many of the bad dust storms around here, like they had in western Oklahoma?
We had some pretty bad dust storms, yes.
How long would they last?
Not long. Not over a day or two.
Mm-hmm. What did you do during World War II?
I was teaching in the city.
Do you remember any organized work for the war effort, like bond drives or?
Yes, I can remember the first bond drive that happened.
Yeah, tell me about those.
I don't remember except that we took in them.
Mm-hmm. What about when the war ended? World War II. What'd you do?
Can't remember what we did. We were very elated, of course. Although I didn't have anybody directly in it, but we were thrilled that it was over.
What are your favorite memories of Guthrie?
Well, it's a wonderful town to live in. Everybody is congenial. Everybody knows each other. It's just a nice place to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, anything else you want to talk about? Oh, your first automobile. When did you see your first car?
Well, I was in high school when Papa got his first car, and it was a Chalmers. But that was about 1912 or 13.
What did you think of it?
Oh, it was wonderful. Nobody in the family could drive it, except my brother, which is younger than I. And we took it out the very first time after Papa bought it. Took it for a ride and couldn't stop it. We went around block after block. Finally, Father, he was going slow enough, Papa could tell him what to do from the door.
Well, I think we have a good interview. I want to thank you.
Well, that's not much help, I know.
Oh, every little bit helps.
Dates and things like that have never meant one thing to me. And therefore, I just don't remember.
Tell me about your early Christmases. Your first Christmas you remember?
Well, my father went to the farm and cut the tree and brought it in. And after we went to bed at night, they decorated the tree and had it ready for Christmas morning. And that's
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
okay.